7:45 on the East Coast. Let's see what's happening on the stream. Is the stream up and running? Is it going? NBC News. NBC News. And behind the scenes, oh, we are up. Yep, all right, we're off to the races. Hi, everybody, how's it going? Let's see. Offline. Okay. The Sinister Wolf Girl 2006. Yes, sir. Hello, Sinister. Can I call you Sinister? Parsi 90. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Oh, look, I can see what's happening earlier. SML, I saw you on 5 in the 6 o'clock hour on NBC News Now. Oh, cool. The news is heart-wrenching. It's absolutely heart-wrenching. Did you guys see what we were talking about with Tom Costello? We were talking about rockets. Rockets. Lisa Welder, hello from sunny, hot Phoenix, Arizona. What is Phoenix feeling like right now? 110, 115? Aw, Wilma, back at you. Great to see you. Okay, so here's what's happening. We are getting ready to start our show in about 12 minutes, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Unfortunately, the war continues, and it looks like it might be escalating geographically. The Houthis are now targeting, excuse me. Oh man, I still can't kick this little cold or whatever I have. The Houthis are targeting, looks like Saudi Arabian flagged oil tankers or cargo ships. I believe 2 of them were hit. And so the fear is, and it's not in the Strait of Hormuz, this is actually in the Red Sea. So the fear is that a lot of the traffic that has been diverted out of the Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea is like the alternative to the choke point. If that becomes another choke point, things are going to get really, really dicey. So we saw some effects in the markets today. We also saw the effects when it comes to the price of gas, now over $100 a barrel. So what the implications are there, we should see. We're also going to talk to Richard Engel, and Richard Engel actually has some really interesting reporting on whether or not this is a specific fight between the Saudi Arabians and the Houthis, or whether this is part of like the larger war that's happening with Iran, because the Houthis are not only Iranian allies, they're really an Iranian proxy. Monkey Beats. Hello, Monkey Beasts. Yo, yo, yo. 56 in Pittsburgh? I will take 56 in Pittsburgh any day. That sounds very pleasant. Americans didn't start this war. Trump and government did, but we get punished. Wilma, that's an interesting take. William, I'm doing pretty good today. Feeling a little bit better. Echo 1 and Echo 4. I'm going to jump in right now. Yep, I just saw it. Yep. Yep, saw them. Did I forget to put my little thingy next to them? I think I did. Echo 1, Echo 4. But yes, I'm very excited about it. And then that graphic of all of the rockets that have been launched this year, it looks so good in this wall. It's really, really good. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, graphics team. Heavy, heavy lift. Let's see, Americans, okay. Grigoris, thank you for doing, no, thank you for watching. Gosh, we are winning the war. I mean, some say we're winning the war. This morning, Donna, what happened this morning? Peace bucks? What are you thinking? $4.30 a gallon? God, that would be great in California. I am still in New York. SML, thank you for also watching Hallie Jackson so loyally. We love you. Hallie loves you. You're a diehard. Sergio Rivera, we are being robbed. A lot of people feel the way you feel as well. Greetings from northern Arizona. Navajo Nation, 88 here. Monsoon season. Shane. Good to see you, Shane. I don't think I've seen you in here before. If I have, welcome back. But Shane, I remember Dene. I'm a New Mexican, so yeah, always good to see Navajo Nation represented. Suzanne, a lot of people worried about that. I did. Username 00294. You great mystery. But mostly I watch Channel 41, Siempre Contigo, Univision, because that's where my dad worked. Are you getting accustomed to the New York weather? Not even in the slightest. Not even in the slightest. Can you check Pittsburgh weather in the morning? It says it's going to be 56. That would be really, really nice. Yeah, 56 after the crazy days that we've had here in New York. I would take that in a heartbeat. Guys, I lost my little thing on the chat, so I'm going to reset it real fast. 2 seconds. Hey, Richard, no spamming. Oh, Boston, thank you. Okay, there we go. I'm back. And now I can switch stuff up. Okay. I think, Boston, you were watching the earlier hit when we were very excited about maybe a space launch today, but turned out to be another scrub. This one, Bertha, she's messing stuff up over there on the Gulf Coast, and so they scrubbed because of weather. Can you hear me now? Better? Hello? Evie's in the house. Okay, we're back. There she is. Hi.
Hi, guys. Everybody. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Can you guys hear that? All right, perfect. And then let's see. No, this is. Let me ask you this, guys. What would you like to see in the news today? What do you guys want to see on the news in general? How do you like your news? Do you like it depressing, uplifting, realistic, demanding, thought-provoking? How do you guys like to consume the news? Alien news? Hell yes. William, we got that right here. Something positive and heartwarming. Love that. Audio is not syncing with video. Grigoris, that is not a surprise because we're trying some weird stuff here. We are trying to do this cool little thing where in 6 minutes, and I'm not sure if you've watched this show, but in 6 minutes what's about to happen is we've got like an actual news show coming up that we've been preparing throughout the day. We have this incredible team. In fact, let me show you some of the team. That's them here at 30 Rockefeller. They are all in the control room. Down below, that is the beautiful city of Los Angeles where I normally am, but I'm here in New York for this week, hanging out with the team. Usually we do a bi-coastal East Coast, West Coast. They're on the East Coast, but I do this news from the West Coast, and we give kind of like a West Coast perspective on the national and international news. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, why it might not be syncing up. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to pioneer a new way of doing the news, which is in 5 minutes, we do a news show, and then in between commercial breaks, and then sometimes during segments, I look down over here, I see what you guys are talking about. If there's a great question, I'll try to put it into the show. I'll try to ask an expert or one of the correspondents, and then we keep that dialogue alive. And so far, we've all become friends of all walks of life, of all political persuasions, I think. We've got people that seem to be on the right side of the spectrum, on the left side of the spectrum, people that don't seem to be paying attention to the news at all, people that seem to be paying attention to a lot of news. It's great. It's a whole community. We all get along famously. So we hope that every day you just come hang out with us. It'd be great. Does my New York team speak Spanish? Gracias a Dios, tenemos una productora llamado Camila, que hizo un trabajo tremendo en un reportaje que va a salir hoy en la noche sobre Venezuela. Lo vas a tener que ver. Es increíble. 4 minutos. Even Evie, did you hear that? Evie over here?
Yes, I'm fluent.
She threw out the, where are you?
Parents are Puerto Rican.
Boricua.
First generation.
Nice, Boricua, just like William. I think William's out in Puerto Rico. We know our chat. We know our chat here. Donna Wagner, I don't watch the news. It's too depressing. But what about us? We're not depressing. Well, if we are depressing, we'll try to pick it up at the end. What'd you say, Lisa? Oh, yeah. Lisa understood. Te entiendo. We're going to talk not necessarily about SpaceX. We're going to talk about space war. Let's see. Contracting. Yeah, that's interesting. Why didn't you show your... Oh, my gosh. We did show the president's speech, Scorpio Tim. Actually, Scorpio Tim, I don't think you were watching here, because if you were watching here, you definitely would have seen it. We carried that entire speech, and then we had all kinds of analysis afterwards. I was in the control room. It was fascinating. NBC News Now will probably always cover those speeches. Let's see. Any news that makes us feel good inside? Yes. Yes, I love that. Truthful news, no BS. I love that too. Positive vibes. That is what we're all about. Even when the vibes are very, very horrific, we'll try to find any positive vibe we can. Something awesome. Put up the heat. Donna, I can't believe it's 56. It's crazy. I just want honesty. Gregoris, you deserve honesty, to be honest. Like, that is something that is severely lacking these days. But a lot of times, it's because it's a very confusing world. And people pretend like they know what's happening. That's not very honest. SML, thank you. Why don't we talk about the corrupt Democrat politicians? I mean, we talk about corruption all across the board. We need positive vibes, peace on the planet, the kid. I like the energy that you're putting out there. Peace bucks. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that he said is we're going to play it, the part about the eye for an eye and head for an eye. It's going to be interesting. Cranky Frankie, any coverage of Chile? We should talk about Chile. That's a good idea. I'm going to start looking into it. Yorkie, we will look into that. To be honest, talk about corruption in Minnesota. We have talked about all kinds of stuff, including the stuff that you're talking about. Strange stuff on TikTok, but in a good way. Yeah. Sorry, I have to spit out this cough drop. We're 1 minute away? Oh my gosh, we're like 50 seconds away. Are we starting here? Starting over there. Okay. Starting at the Vista. All right. Okay, let's see. You guys come hang over here. We'll take you behind the scenes. 30 seconds? Yes, ah! Okay, you guys are in a corner over here. Let's go.
Here we go.
7:59. Have a good show, everybody.
20
seconds. And then, Sean, you just want me right here? Okay.
10 seconds. 9, 8,
Okay.
6,
Yep.
5 seconds.
Okay.
3.
Hey there, I'm Gadi Schwartz, and tonight the war widens. The Iranian-backed Houthis based in Yemen attacking 2 Saudi-flagged oil tankers here in the Red Sea. This is the Red Sea. This is the Strait of Hormuz. That is the geographic relationship that we're talking about here. And the Strait of Hormuz, traffic there is still at a virtual standstill. President Trump issuing a new warning on social media saying if they do this again, the U.S. will hold Iran responsible in that the Houthis are a surrogate and or proxy of Iran, and major military punishment will be inflicted on Iran. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio turning up the heat as well.
Do you rule out striking civilian infrastructure?
I think I saw, guys, I saw Arachi, their foreign minister, who the other day say or something about their policies, an eye for an eye. The president's policy is a head for an eye. I mean, honestly, that's what it's going to be. I mean, they will pay a very heavy price for the things they're doing. They're already paying a very heavy price.
Meanwhile, uncertainty about the future of global shipping now at an all-time new high, causing oil prices to soar over $100 a barrel for the first time since May, and forcing gas here at home to inch towards $4.10 a gallon, up more than $1 since the start of the year. And first, let's get out to Israel, where NBC's chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, is standing by. Richard, let's start with the Houthi attack here. With the Houthis, geography is everything, right? What's the significance of these strikes, and what's the significance of the Red Sea?
So, very significant. Let's start a little bit backwards. We were focusing on, for the last 5 months, the Strait of Hormuz. I think everyone now knows about the Strait of Hormuz, where it is, what its importance is. The Strait of Hormuz is the passageway for about 20% of the world's oil and gas, other materials as well. And because of the ongoing and apparently escalating right now war between the U.S. and Iran, Israel also involved, although not directly involved at the moment, but bracing for potential more involvement. In fact, the Israeli government just opened bomb shelters again in several cities in this country. But the Strait of Hormuz has been effectively shut since the war, with an on-again, off-again blockade by the U.S. military. That it has been economically devastating for oil and gas. A lot of the shipments have shifted over to the Red Sea. Now, the Red Sea is vital not just for oil and gas, but about 12% of all global commerce. The Red Sea, of course, going from the Suez Canal to the Bab el-Mandeb at the southern tip of it. And what we saw just recently was the Houthis, who are based in Yemen, they're an Iranian-backed militia, attack 2 Saudi ships in the Red Sea. And it sent global markets, it sent a panic, really, into global markets, sent the Dow down about 500 points, international oil over $100 a barrel. Because if these 2 waterways become completely blocked, then it has the real possibility of disrupting global trade, not just oil and gas, not just one passageway, but 2 more or less right next to each other. But it's not entirely clear, I'm not entirely convinced, and nor are people that I'm speaking to, that the Houthis have the complete intention of closing off the Red Sea. There are many ships in the Red Sea. They only attacked Saudi tankers, and the Houthis have a long and very troubled and very painful history with Saudi Arabia. The Saudis fought a war against the Houthis in Yemen, so they had direct combat between them. And just a few days ago, the Saudis launched an attack, according to the Houthis, who control most of Yemen, on Sana'a airport, which is the capital, or the main airport in the capital, Sana'a, as people were returning, as Yemenis were returning from the funeral of the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei in Tehran. That attack infuriated the Houthis. They denounced it. They issued statements denouncing it and effectively said the gloves were off between them and Saudi Arabia. So it is possible that this was more of a personal attack, targeting the Saudis, not letting the Saudis off the hook, because Saudi has borders on both sides. It takes up most of the peninsula between these two strategic waterways. So if you want to punish Saudi, you could try and deny them access to both of them.
Yeah. So hopefully a specific attack possibly obscured by the fog of war. Meanwhile, Trump's threats, we've heard them over and over again. We heard Marco Rubio saying that Trump now wants a head for an eye. Are those threats resonating with the leadership of the Middle East across the board?
They are not entirely resonating with the Iranians. So I was in Tehran with our team during the funeral, and the Iranians have heard these kind of threats before. They heard President Trump threaten to wipe out their entire civilization. They've heard President Trump just a few days ago threaten to blow up all the bridges. They've heard President Trump say that he was going to destroy all the critical infrastructure. They are worried because President Trump is an emotional person. He's a volatile person. It is possible that he carries through these threats. But the Gulf states certainly do not want to see that kind of escalation where the infrastructure in Iran is systematically destroyed, because Iran has said quite clearly, if the infrastructure in Iran blows up, if the U.S. takes out the bridges, takes out the water plants, takes out the power plants, then Iran will respond in kind, attacking specifically the desalination plants in the Gulf that the Gulf states rely on. The Gulf states have a lot of oil and natural gas, but they don't have much fresh water. They get their fresh water by taking the salt out of seawater, and they are very dependent on that. What we just saw another threat from President Trump issued on Truth Social, which is much more moderate in tone. President Trump said that any ships that are damaged by Iran will have to be paid for by Iran, that the money will be taken out of frozen assets that Iran wants back. Now, that is the kind of leverage that the Gulf states absolutely would support, because many of these Gulf states, particularly Qatar, are holding the money that would be unfrozen so that they would be in a position to do that and not risk running out of water to give to the population.
NBC's Richard Engel in Jerusalem tonight. Richard, thank you. And now let's bring in NBC's business and economy reporter, Ali Canal. Ali, with the price of oil once again rising, the price at the pump rising as well, what's this going to do to inflation?
Yeah, I mean, the immediate impact, right, is the price that we pay when we go to fill up our car. And we're already seeing that impact. Right now, the national average is sitting at $4.09 a gallon. That compares to last month when gas was closer to $3.90. So pretty quickly, we're seeing this trickle through. But higher fuel costs, I mean, it also makes it more expensive to ship goods, to fly, to produce goods. Farmers, they need fuel for their tractors. So there is that ripple effect that we've been seeing. And then remember, the Strait of Hormuz, it isn't just a big shipping lane for oil, but also natural gas, petrochemicals. They're the building blocks to things like fertilizer, to plastic. So even when you go to the grocery store and you put things in a plastic bag, that all is getting a lot more expensive. And then Mark Zandi from Moody Analytics, he's an economist there. He's been crunching the numbers, and he said the war has already cost the typical American household more than $1,200, wow. And that pain is only expected to continue the longer that we see these disruptions.
Yeah, $1,200. I mean, that's something that so many families feel, and if they're living on credit cards, that $1,200 is actually a lot bigger. Meanwhile, Wall Street had somewhat of a reaction to this, but not quite the reaction that you'd expect. Right?
Yeah, I think Wall Street viewed this as a clear escalation when you saw the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. And a big part of that is the Red Sea was seen as this alternative route to the Strait of Hormuz. Now, we have seen a trickle of ships get through, particularly ships from China. So that is encouraging. However, on the one hand, you have to wonder, will these other ships that are waiting to cross and their crew, are they going to feel safe doing that? So that's why you saw some of the reaction in oil markets today. Brent crude, that's the international benchmark, that rose above $100 a barrel for the first time in nearly 2 months. As you're seeing on your screen, a 7% jump from just yesterday. And some analysts out there, they're warning that prices could go as high as $120 a barrel. That's a new projection from Goldman Sachs. And then even outside the oil markets, we've been seeing this rise in treasury yields. And that's because more investors are pricing in inflation. And when you see that, that has that ripple effect to mortgages, to the loan you pay on your car, to credit cards. So tangible impacts that consumers feel every single day when they go to spend money, and that's the concern moving forward.
So much uncertainty. Allie, thank you.
Thank you.
And tonight, at least 12 million people are under flood watches with severe summer storms sweeping through the mid-Atlantic. Torrential rain is hitting North Carolina especially hard today. It's flooding roads, downing trees, leaving roughly 13,000 homes without power. Storms already washed out communities in West Virginia. The governor saying 2 people are dead after serious flash floods, and now the National Guard there has been deployed. And over along the Gulf Coast, Tropical Storm Bertha is making its second landfall, this time headed west through Texas. Take a look at this video. This is from Galveston today. It is looking very ominous out there with those dark clouds, all that thunder, lightning, heavy rain, strong wind, and life-threatening rip currents are also expected out there tonight. Bertha has already caused some damage this week in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana. You could see it all here with cars trapped in the sand and waves slamming the beach. NBC's Priscilla Thompson is on the ground in Galveston. Priscilla?
Yeah, Gotti, Tropical Storm Bertha is here. You can hear the waves crashing. I'll give you a look at some of the big waves that are making their way to shore now. And of course, the other big threat with this storm is the dangerous rip currents, the potential for storm surge, all of that a factor here. We know that down in South Texas, think Corpus Christi, Port Lavaca, they're also getting some of that rain. While we didn't get a lot of that here, it really has been the wind that is the story, with those wind gusts of up to 40+ miles per hour that have come through. And this is as we're seeing some of these slow moving storms that are not tied to Tropical Storm Bertha, but are really wreaking havoc in places like North Carolina. We also saw all of that flooding in West Virginia, where we know there's still search and rescue underway for people who are missing. I will tell you, a lot of folks today, even here in Galveston, even as Bertha has come ashore, have been out riding the rides at the pier, out in the water, enjoying the beach. And so we're not seeing any sort of massive destruction like that, but certainly a lot of wind and a lot of waves. Gotti?
Priscilla, thank you. And turning now to the deadly police-involved shooting yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin that has sparked protest and an independent investigation. Officials have identified the man killed as Corey Ruiz. Madison's police chief says that he pulled out a knife during a struggle, hurting one of the cops, and it was that officer who shot Ruiz. We're going to show you the moment it happened, but we're going to freeze the video before you hear the gunshots. A warning, the video is graphic. And then today, Ruiz's name was chanted by protesters who marched to the state capitol before shutting down a concert. Take a look at last night. And let's bring in NBC's Shaquille Brewster, who is in Madison, Wisconsin. Shaq, what are you hearing from the community there?
Well, Gotti, a vigil is underway right now. This is something that has been talked about throughout the day at the intersection where that shooting took place. I'll let you take a look around because this is an emotional time for members of the community. You see some people bringing flowers. There are candles. In the middle of this intersection, there's actually a makeshift memorial that has only grown throughout the day. People going around passing out water and snacks, making sure that folks here are being taken care of. And this speaks to the sentiment that you're feeling here, where there's people who are hurt, there are people who are angry, who are frustrated, especially by what they see in that video. And there are people genuinely heartbroken, people who knew the man who was killed yesterday right here at this intersection. I want you to listen to a little bit of my conversation with someone who said they knew him for 20 years. And I asked, what did this shooting take away? Listen here.
He was loving. He was like life of the party. He, filled the room with energy whenever he was in it.
What do you want the takeaway from the vigil tonight to be?
That he didn't deserve to be gunned down in front of the world, and he has people who love him, and he's more than just a case number. He's gone, and his kids, his mom, his entire family, everyone that loved him and knew him, watched him be murdered in cold blood.
Gotti, I'll tell you, there are still a lot of questions about what people saw in those videos that we're only seeing more and more as that time and distance from the shooting actually takes place. People not liking what they're seeing and hoping they get answers and calling for a transparent and full investigation, Gotti.
And Chuck, where does the investigation stand right now?
Yeah, so this is an independent investigation right now. It's part of the Wisconsin law. So the Wisconsin Department of Justice is in charge of the investigation. They will be going through those videos that you've seen. They will be going through video that the police chief says has not been made public at this point, taking statements from officers. That entity will also be the entity that releases the name of the officer who fired those at least 3 shots here just yesterday. And then that report will be put together and handed over to a prosecuting attorney. The police chief, who is not connected to this investigation, said his department will completely cooperate with what the state is doing and called it an open homicide investigation at this point. Again, that's required by Wisconsin law. But the key thing, you heard him ask for members of the public to have some patience. He says this is something that's going to take a long time. The mayor saying that good investigations take a long time to play out. There's going to be a call for a lot of patience, but I'll tell you, there are a lot of people here who want quick answers, who want to understand what they saw and want to know why it happened, Gotti.
Shaquille Brewster, thank you. And now to the latest in the hearing that could decide whether singer David is going to stand trial for murder. Prosecutors calling a long list of witnesses to testify, including investigators, law enforcement officers, and people who worked with David. Today's hearing put a major focus on things like forensic evidence, phone records, and tracking data, all of it adding to prosecutors' case, who allege the singer David killed and dismembered 14-year-old Celeste Rivas after she threatened to expose their relationship. Let's bring in NBC's Camila Bernal for more on this. Camila, good to see you. Today, they really honed in on the physical evidence, including some of the things that were found during the search of David's home. What did we learn there?
Yeah, Gotti, and a lot of the things that we actually had talked about. So we've talked about a lot of the evidence that was gathered in this case, but what they focused on today was how that evidence was analyzed. So one of the first things that came up today is that inflatable pool that we've been talking about all week. There were pieces of that pool that investigators believe were on Celeste Rivas's body, and those pieces were sent to an investigator. That investigator used a microscope to match the exact holes on the inflatable pool to the pieces of the pool that were found on Celeste Rivas's body. These were tiny pieces, and at least 3 of them matched perfectly. Our producer in the courtroom said it was incredible to see how precise that match was. There were other pieces that didn't match, and the person on the stand was saying essentially that there were many of these particles of these blue pieces of the pool. They even found some in her leggings. So it was very hard to actually match it perfectly, but they were able to do so with a few of those pieces. The other part of the analyzed evidence that was spoken about today was the blood. We talked about the fact that they found blood in the Tesla, not in the front, but in the back trunk of the Tesla. They also found some blood evidence at David's home in the garage. And so someone today testifying that that evidence and that blood matched Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And what they're saying here is that essentially this is how they're connecting David to all of this evidence. So it was interesting to see how investigators are analyzing everything that we knew of and had been talking about, Gotti.
How is the defense responding to all this?
Yeah, so the defense in cross-examination has really focused on what police have done and have not done. They're really focusing on, for example, did you actually swab this? Why didn't you swab that? Or if you swab this, why are you so sure that only David was there? Because there was on the bag that had a lot of the tissues and blood, there was a DNA profile of other men. And so the defense essentially saying, how do you know how many people have gone in and out of this house? How do you know for sure that it's Celeste Rivas's DNA? With DNA, it's almost impossible to say we're 100% certain. So that's just what the defense is doing, is trying to create some doubt into that evidence that has been collected and analyzed.
Meanwhile, online, it's looking like the true crime community is starting to really go into overdrive on this one. Are we starting to see signs of that in the court and outside the courthouse as well?
Yeah, so we talked about the fact that there are no cameras in court. So the only way you're going to be able to look at the pictures that are being shown in court is to actually be there. So today you had dozens of people actually lining up to try to go into court. They had a raffle wheel where they actually pulled the names of people to be able to go inside of the courtroom. And when they were pulling these names out, people were cheering because they were excited to be able to go inside the courtroom. So there's always people who want to go and follow this trial step by step, of course, to be able to see all of the evidence in this case, Gotti.
Yeah, a raffle wheel and cheering, and then everything you just said. I mean, that is such a disconcerting image, and yet it's what we're seeing play out there. Camila Bernal, thank you so much. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, a push for peptides stirring up controversy. An FDA panel just recommended loosening restrictions, but doctors, not all of them are sold on the idea. Plus, a robot that looks like a bird can swim and fly. Enough said. It's pretty cool. We'll have more on that, so stay tuned. Also, see this QR code? Okay, I'm gonna give you a second here. Get your phone out. You can scan through, you can chat with us live and let us know what you think. You can weigh in. A bunch of people are weighing in right now on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Come join us. Did you guys see I was talking about you? I was talking about you guys. 2 minutes. Okay, we got 2 minutes. Let's see. Round QR code. It's a square QR code in a round circle. Okay, all right, you're right. Sci-Fi Guy. What's up, Sci-Fi Guy? Did you just drop in? Let's see. What are you guys talking about? About that segment. I see. Yep. Let's see what you guys are saying.
90.
You know? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what else. San Pedro Sula. Hey, Pedro. How's it going? Lisa Welder. Great to see you. You're welcome from behind the scenes. It'll help heal up strong.
Are you good?
DHEA? It doesn't sound very
I went like 2
tasty.
1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute? Are we starting over there?
Yes, we are.
I am always ready to go up there. That would be so fun. So we've got headlines, and then what's coming up, Lisa? Let's put Lisa on. Lisa on. Where's Lisa?
Oh, sorry, I'm not.
Oh, yeah. Ah. Oh, that's right. Peptides. Peptides. I can't wait. How are we doing on time? Okay.
I say green light too. Stand by. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds. 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. A member of Vice President J.D. Vance's Secret Service detail has been removed and is under investigation. The Secret Service says the person has been accused of, quote, compromising sensitive information. The person allegedly gave MS Now details about a recent trip the Vice President took. And today, the man who killed Minnesota Democratic lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark last year was given 2 life sentences. He ended up pleading guilty after prosecutors decided not to seek the death penalty. And in Arizona, newly released body cam video shows the moment SWAT officers stormed a house last month, rescuing a 3-year-old boy inside. The boy's mom called 911 after her boyfriend shot a gun inside the home. Police say the 40-year-old suspect refused to surrender, but thankfully no one was hurt. And 2 people were stabbed near New York Central Park this afternoon. Cops arresting a man in connection with both attacks, saying one victim was stabbed in the back while the other was stabbed in the chest. Both are expected to survive. Police say the stabbings are being looked into as possible hate crimes. And Microsoft says there was a massive outage today, and it should be cleared up, and that things should be working again for the vast majority of users. But for hours today, Microsoft services like Teams, OneDrive, and Xbox Live saw interruptions. Microsoft says they are investigating what went wrong. And turning now to our health, an FDA advisory panel has voted in favor of loosening restrictions on peptides, but some medical professionals are not so sure, arguing there is little evidence that these peptides could do anything for humans. NBC's Ann Thompson has more.
They are all the rage in wellness.
So let's talk about peptides.
Peptides, short chains of amino acids marketed for everything from healing injuries to speeding up metabolism to slowing down aging. Now an FDA advisory committee is considering whether 7 of the most popular peptides should be allowed to be made by specialized pharmacies, increasing access, even though they've never been approved for safety and effectiveness.
The demand for this peptide will not disappear. Ladies and gentlemen of this panel, Pandora's box has been opened.
These synthetic peptides can be injected or used in a spray, cream, or pill form. Dr. Rachel Pesapollock says she fields questions every day.
What are the pros and cons for these peptides?
What we know is that people are using these peptides, but we know that we don't have data. We have some limited animal data, but we do not have human data on the peptides that they are studying today.
Among the concerns, possible contamination from imported products and what exactly is in them. Still, they are backed by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I'm a big fan of peptides. I've used them myself.
Diana Sokol says she's a peptide advocate.
I support bringing these things to market in a way that's legal, accessible, and safe.
She uses peptides from a wellness center to build muscle.
I would say within 3 weeks, I started to see the difference.
So you think they're working?
Definitely.
NBC's Ann Thompson, thank you. And coming up, a look at the challenges immigration lawyers are facing with the Trump administration's sweeping policies. Stay tuned for that. Sit down here. She's the executive producer, and sometimes we have to tell each other secrets. But right?
June 24, 2026, 6:04 in the evening. The ground starts shaking in northwest Venezuela violently. A
Anything
magnitude
that man
7.2
uses, I would never
sending
put
people.
bugbear. What are you talking about? Are you talking about peptides and me, or the secretary? Anyway, I don't blame you. You know. I wouldn't trust any medical advice from a news guy. I am feeling a little bit better. MA85059. Thank you for asking. I was, coughing up a lung yesterday. And somehow, actually, no, I know how. A wonderful, wonderful team member of ours, Micah, cured me with this concoction of just, I don't know, ginger and lemon or something or other. Anyway, I feel much, much better. Watching from the sweetest sides of Detroit, Michigan in the USA. Drina Ross. Hello, Drina. Detroit. Pole Town. I spent some time in Pole Town, and that is a pretty cool place. Put ice in the coffee cup. It's tea. We don't do a coffee this late. I mean, maybe in Puerto Rico, but we got to go to sleep. Let's see. It's the results from the New York weather. William, it's interesting that you say that. For the longest time, I was like, this cough that I have, this is just from the fires in Canada. But I don't know what it is. Better tea in LA or New York? Kevin, that's a very good question.
Be careful how you answer that
Micah makes better. Micah's tea is, how do I put this
one.
delicately?
She also had the honey. That was a
I know.
big part of it.
It's probably like 100 to 1 million times better than the stuff that, Big Mike gives me.
Don't let Big Mike hear that. You will never get tea again.
I'll take what I can get.
15 seconds.
Let's see.
15
seconds. All right, we're coming back.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds, 4,
Hey, welcome back. The Trump administration has made major changes to immigration policies, including denying bond to migrants who are detained. And it's why immigration attorneys are saying that they are facing new challenges when they're handling these cases. NBC's Valerie Castro reports.
For Eric Resick, his job as an immigration attorney is an ongoing chess game.
I've seen a lot of my colleagues quit and say, I can't do this anymore.
One where he says the rules are constantly changing.
It keeps me up at night because I might be stressing out about something I missed.
And winning cases, he says, under the Trump administration has become more difficult.
The issue, I think, right now is that, and this is well reported on, is that the immigration judges are under pressure to deny cases. And if they don't deny cases at a rate that this administration approves of, they might be out of a job.
In 2025, DHS began calling for all immigrants detained to be held without bond as their cases move through immigration court, even those apprehended away from the border without criminal records, and some who've lived in the U.S. for years.
That creates this one-way track from being detained to being detained indefinitely while your case is pending that other administrations don't do.
In a statement to NBC News, a DHS spokesperson says adopting the correct legal position was the nail in the coffin for Biden's catch and release policies, adding President Trump and Secretary Mullen are now enforcing the law as it was actually written to keep America safe. The issue of no bond holds is currently being argued in federal circuit courts. Resick oversees an immigration law clinic at the University of North Dakota, created in part to help bring a new workforce to the state. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, North Dakota has just 47 workers for every 100 jobs.
Is there a shortage because people are scared?
Yes, there are a significant amount of people who have pending cases, who entered the United States lawfully and have work permits, who are not going outside of their homes to work because they are worried that they are going to be detained.
Detention is something that's a real possibility for Resick's clients, including this woman who asked that we not reveal her identity as she fears retaliation from drug cartels in her home country. She arrived here lawfully in 2024 with her 2 daughters through a Biden-era program called Parole that was shut down by the Trump administration last year.
The mother spoke out against some very public corruption in her hometown in Colombia, and death threats from the Gulf cartel there in Colombia made her decide to flee Colombia. She did things, quote unquote, the right way. We helped her file an asylum application.
She's currently awaiting a work permit and checks in at this local ICE facility once a month.
Given what we've seen from this administration, is she in any danger of being detained or deported?
Yeah, that's something that's going to be looming over her head. And if they wanted to, they could detain her.
The fear of detention never far from her 17-year-old daughter's mind.
Es una posibilidad. ¿Y cómo pueden vivir con ese miedo?
Creyendo en Dios, de que todo va a estar bien porque sabemos que somos buenas personas, que estamos aquí por un mejor futuro.
For any of his clients to have a fighting chance and avoid deportation, Resick says sometimes the best legal move is a waiting game.
I think in a perfect world, yeah, we would try to postpone every case that's coming up before an immigration judge so that it goes before a judge that is not bound by the same priorities as this administration. That's not always possible.
In the meantime, the calls for help keep pouring into his office.
I am drowning in potential cases.
A legal game, at least for now, ending in a draw. Valerie Castro, NBC News, Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Valerie, thank you. And coming up in the future of everything, are we already in the midst of a space war? That's an existential question a lot of people in the space community are asking, and we're talking to one of the authors who explores that idea in a new paper coming up. But first, you got to see this. Knock, knock. Who is there? Well, that's a real-life Paddington Bear, it looks like. It's a very hot, fluffy little guy in California who wandered into an office plaza, seeming to be looking for some air conditioning to escape the heat, but when he realized that there were people behind the desk, he got a little bit shy. He decided to find a quieter place to cool off. Office workers were pretty shocked, though, pretty in awe that he was able to push and pull the door with 2 feet, just like a human. I mean, really opened that door and took a look around. We'll be right back. Ah, man. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better very soon, hopefully. Uh-oh. Yikes. Do I have McMissile? My wife is asking if I have McMissile. Ah, I don't have McMissile. And I don't know where McMissile is, and now that's gonna stress me out. Yeah, McMissile is missing. My son has all the little cars, and he's like obsessed with McMissile. It's not in the stroller. Eesh. Ugh. Anyway, that's the craziness of traveling. Yeah. Yikes. Where did it? I had him in my pocket at some point, but then I gave it to him. I don't know. Ugh. Shoot. Okay. Well, I'll be ordering another McMissile on Alibaba.
1 minute.
What else? Campbell Corn Lab. Which one? Which one are you talking about? The bear was looking for Lisa, I think. And then somebody was asking, what is this?
Great.
Yeah. What is this behind the scenes? This is behind the scenes of the news.
I kind of wish that bear was looking for me.
Yeah.
People in the control room think that was a human in a bear costume, but
It definitely looked like it was moving really, really well. I was going to make a bare necessities joke, but then I
feel
almost
like
coughed.
bears are pretty nimble like that, though. Like, they can climb.
Have you
Can
ever
they
seen
climb trees?
Have you ever seen a bear without hair?
No.
Oh, you should Google it. It's pretty crazy. It's
Do I
like
want to Google that?
it's a whole other creature, and you're like, oh, maybe they are a little nimble.
Okay, stand by.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. Tomorrow it will be a month since those horrific earthquakes rocked Venezuela. 5,398 are confirmed dead, and more than 29,000 are still reported missing. Since the first day of the tragedy, NBC News has been on the ground where more questions keep surfacing about the country's emergency response.
June 24, 2026, 6:04 in the evening, the ground starts shaking in northwest Venezuela violently. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake sending people running into the streets. Even passengers who just landed feel the rattling. Falling debris inside the Simón Bolívar International Airport, sending people racing for cover. In an instant, terror spreading in the capital of Caracas and along the coast.
Felt like a really long time. It felt like about 30 seconds.
Just as people think the worst is over, another earthquake, only 39 seconds apart. This one even more powerful, a magnitude 7.8.
Cuando bajamos el escenario era de película de terror.
Survivors hearing screams.
The local people there were screaming for God to save us.
The shaking stops, but the scale of the catastrophe is just coming into focus. One survivor capturing an image of a woman who has somehow survived in her bedroom.
Eran dos torres aquí, quedó reducida a nada. Allá hay una señora que todavía no han venido a buscar, pero está viva. Ahí está viva todavía. Esto fue devastación total.
As night falls, the race against time begins. Families looking for their loved ones. In the Los Colares area of La Guaira, José Alberto Gallipoli thought he had lost his family. His son, daughter-in-law, and 4-year-old grandson trapped under 8 stories of concrete. 24 hours after the quakes, rescue teams finally able to reach the family, pulling them to safety, seemingly unhurt, but visibly shaken. Then another miracle. 32 hours after the quakes, a newborn baby carried out of a collapsed 8-story apartment in the Playa Grande neighborhood. Moments later, his mother Diana is rescued.
Hermana, te amo, lo logramos.
Te amo.
48 hours in, NASA satellite mapping showing the broad scale of the disaster. The Venezuelan government's count, 850 buildings affected. But a deeper analysis by researchers at Oregon State University suggests a much higher number. More than 58,000 buildings damaged or destroyed, according to their review. And digging with their bare hands, survivors try to pull their neighbors out of the rubble. The natural disaster quickly turning into a full-blown humanitarian crisis. tremors continuing to rattle Venezuela as survivors look for shelter. Many standing in line disoriented, hoping for deliveries of water, food, and medicine. The government's death toll is 589 by the second day. But Venezuelans report more than 40,000 missing to the citizen-created website Desaparecidos. Families start writing the names of the missing on any surface they can find. The government announcing the deployment of 11,000 aid workers, but many in La Guaira say they're only seeing a few firefighters, while armed soldiers are seen standing on the sidelines of collapsed buildings. Correspondent Ana Vanessa Herrero showing the confusion firsthand.
So behind me, as you can see here, hundreds of those who were affected by the earthquake in this area are deployed here without any kind of protocol. They tell me that the government has not informed them what the next steps could be, and they are trying to survive with whatever charity they can get.
Hicieron este túnel, hicieron otro túnel allá por detrás, hicieron otro. Esos chicos han trabajado como no tienes una idea. ¿Quiénes son esos chicos? Estamos aquí, familiares y amigos de la sobrina de nosotros.
The first 48 hours, critical for the survival of those trapped in the rubble, go by. 6 days later, this man, Marlon Bravo, still trying to get his cousin's body out of the rubble.
¿Cuántas personas has sacado?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
As he kept pulling bodies out, he said he grew more frustrated with the lack of help from the government.
Que ya no tienen excusa. Primero inventaron que no había gasoil, habiendo gasoil. Porque sabiendo que hay esta tragedia que hubo, para que tengan todas las gandolas activadas con el gasoil automáticamente para esas máquinas, para que puedan, que sea salvar la esperanza de cualquier familia.
Valeria Rodriguez searched desperately for a crane or any heavy machinery to pull her father's body out of his apartment.
I have walked through all the city asking for help, asking to all the machineries operators and everyone. I have called several people and people with influences and everything, and I haven't been able to be helped.
She blamed the Venezuelan government for the lack of critical aid.
I don't think that I'm able to say what I want to say to them on the news, but I really hope that they cannot sleep anymore.
And rescue workers uncomfortable with the thought of haphazard bulldozing before any sort of proper recovery.
Es fácil marcar el edificio, ya devastación. No puede ser así porque ella vivía. Y si tú metes la máquina y vía, ¿dónde puede meter la cara a esa gente o el gobierno? ¿Con qué excusa?
Venezuelan officials pushing back on the outrage from survivors and aid organizations over their handling of relief. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez showing texts on her cell phone 3 hours after the quakes when she said she sent rescue workers to the affected area. Telemundo's anchor Julio Vaquero questioning the response.
Hemos recorrido La Guaira, hemos hablado con muchas personas y muy pocos, ninguno, debo decir, coincide con eso. Hay muchos venezolanos hoy que se sienten olvidados y hay muchas críticas duras a la reacción de su gobierno. Se han visto militares, pero se han visto con armas y no con palas, como lo piden los venezolanos. ¿Qué le dice hoy usted a esos venezolanos que sí, más allá de laboratorios mediáticos, como usted dice, más allá de eso, se sienten despojados y olvidados por su gobierno?
Mira, no me gusta generalizar. A mí me gusta hablar con datos, me gusta hablar con la realidad. Porque tú vienes con tu postura y yo quiero que, entonces te invito a ti, que vayas para que también escuches personas que están agradecidas a los voluntarios venezolanos, que están agradecidos a los rescatistas venezolanos.
A week after the quakes, hope begins to fade.
Pero sin los recursos es inútil. Es como que pasar un milagro para que nos puedan ayudar.
The worst hit areas close to the hillside communities attacked by U.S. forces just 6 months ago, when President Trump ordered the removal of Nicolas Maduro on January 3rd. After the quakes, the U.S. was quick to offer aid.
The airport there is badly damaged, so we'll have to rely on the Department of War to deploy assets there.
The Trump administration pledged a $150 million aid package alongside urban search and rescue teams.
They started shouting, "Nancy, Nancy," because that's my mother's name. Okay.
Organizations like the Global Empowerment Mission have been shipping food and medical supplies with the help of Venezuelans in Miami. Survivors praying that aid keeps flowing as they struggle to go on.
Que por lo menos mi hija todos los días a las 7 de la mañana me llamaba. Buenos días, gorda, bendición. O sea, yo esa llamada no la voy a recibir más. Mi nieta me escribía, abuela, ¿estás en la casa? Guárdame comida, porque ella estudiaba cerca de donde yo vivía. Y ya esas llamadas, ya esos mensajes no los voy a recibir más. Y eso duele.
Más allá de lo que más duele, que son las pérdidas humanas, oye, también duelen las pérdidas materiales, porque en este país cuesta mucho lo que es poder generar 30, 35 mil, 40 mil dólares para poder acceder a cualquier apartamento por esta zona, y pega porque sabe uno que recuperarlo es cuesta arriba en esta política.
The earthquakes lasting only moments, but shattering so many lives and leaving survivors with a future defined by desperation.
And that is the reality that so many are living through right now. We'll be right back after the break. Package. Thank you so very much. Yikes. Peace Bucks, where do the thousands sleep now? Shelters, makeshift shelters, we've seen some of the reporting that's come in from Anna, and it is not anywhere close to what you'd expect an orderly response to aid would be. Yeah, go ahead. Kyle, okay. Okay, Zufre, okay. Christian Kyle, got it. I'm gonna change it here. Okay, thank you. Soufre. Okay. Yeah, SML. Man, it's just gives you perspective, you know. How many displaced Venezuelans, Peace Bucks? Like, even before the earthquakes, I think the count, somebody should fact check me on this, but it's millions of Venezuelans have been displaced because of the economic turmoil, the political turmoil there. So it's in the millions. And then this is in the tens of thousands have had their houses completely destroyed. All right, so we're starting over there? Yes. Okay. How many seconds do we have? Oof. Such a good point, William. All right, here we go. This is our favorite segment. Okay, I'm gonna get real excited about that graphic with all the launches.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And tonight, in the race to space, I keep thinking about something that our latest astronaut, Yunil Menon, said when he first got to the International Space Station. It was this very picturesque thank you. It was a shout out to his family, to SpaceX, and then he thanked the Space Force. Look at this.
And to the Guardians at the Space Force, this is the biggest domain, and your job, our job, is unbelievably big.
It was a nice message, but I keep thinking about the part where he talks about the biggest domain and what that means, what that really means for those who follow space closely and who know a little something about the weird Cold War space maneuvering that's been going on among Chinese and Russian rockets and satellites. And this year, the Chinese, they have been on an absolute tear. Look at this. Just yesterday, this was a launch, but it wasn't a launch from land. That's a launch from a boat, a space launch from open water. Fortunately, right now, when we're talking about a space war, you don't necessarily think of it as like Star Wars or things blowing up or shooting each other. What's happening right now is a very slow motion chess game of moving satellites and rocket launches, and boy, have we seen so many rocket launches. All of these rockets around me, this is just this year, and most of them have either been the United States. Like, take a look at this. Like these ones that you'll recognize here, those are all Falcon 9s. You can see how much SpaceX has been in this game, but all of these, China is right behind the United States, and this is just 2026 alone. Now, obviously, a lot of these launches, many of these launches, maybe even most of these launches, were perfectly well intentioned. But if things do go south and space fighting starts, what would happen above our heads could send a lot of our society into an absolute tailspin. Markets crashing, communications down, a whole lot of chaos. And then there's this report that's been circulating recently called How to Win a Space War, written by a couple of partners over at Andreessen Horowitz, a venture capital firm that invests heavily in aerospace, and it lays out a very, very interesting future. One of those authors is here now with us, Christian Kyle. Christian, thank you so very much for being with us. I got to say, your paper has a lot of people in the aerospace community talking. How do you see the Chinese capabilities in space right now when it comes to the military?
Yeah, I mean, the clear thing for me is that having actually operated satellites, I worked before Andreessen Horowitz at Astronis, a satellite manufacturer and operator, for 7 years. I've seen what it's like to actually put satellites into space and to operate them, and it's impossible not to think about China when you're trying to see what's happening in space today. I mean, there are a lot of people that sort of denigrate China's capabilities. They make fun of them dropping rocket boosters on rural villages, which is a tragedy, but it happens more than we'd like to think. But really, if you look back in time, if you even look back to, whatever it was, 2004, I think, on the cover of Aviation Week, there was an article called, "Can David Beat Goliath? Can tiny SpaceX overcome mighty Boeing?" or something along those lines. And so now, 24 years later, SpaceX has now launched more satellites than the rest of humanity combined for all time. Since Sputnik, SpaceX has launched more than everybody else. So you really can't doubt anybody who is determined and has resources they can throw at a space program. It's really hard, but we now know how to build reusable rocketry. And I think that if you're tracking what's happening with China, if you're tracking their rocketry programs, if you're tracking their satellite programs, it's impossible to just cast that off and say, oh, they're just, some other space program going to catch up with the U.S.
Yeah, again, just going back to what you were saying about SpaceX, it does seem as though the tailwinds of SpaceX are going straight into the development of Chinese aerospace, right? And they're growing in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you're seeing it all over the place. SpaceX figured out how to do reusable rocketry. They know how to launch a rocket, land it back on Earth, and reuse it, which of course saves a ton of money. It also saves you time. It just allows you to have a program that can launch vast numbers of things into space. So when I'm looking at the Chinese space industry, what I'm looking at first is those rockets. And I think that China's going to demonstrate 3-5 different reusable rockets that work, that launch and land by the end of this year. They've already done it once. The first rocket, I think it was Long March 10B, launched and landed. This was just maybe a week or two ago. They successfully did it. This rocket, has been a long history. There's a lot of Long March rockets that are in that family for China. But on their first attempt of this new rocket to launch and land, it succeeded. I'm tracking at least 3 others that could do the same thing this year, and that is not to be written off. Of course, we have other programs in the U.S. We have rockets from Blue Origin. We have rockets from Stoke Space. We have rockets from Relativity. There's a lot more that are trying, but I think that, if you're looking at what are the most likely next reusable rockets to succeed after SpaceX's Falcon 9 and after SpaceX's Starship, it has to be China.
One of the other things that people are tracking is what looks like dogfighting in space. And we're not talking about, the satellites shooting each other, but we are talking about some pretty interesting maneuvers from countries like China and Russia, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're tracking what's happening with Russia in particular, there's a satellite that's called ICEYE X36. It's a Finnish-American satellite that takes imagery all over the world. One of the customers for that satellite is the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. And so Russia apparently did not take too kindly to that and launched not one, not two, but 5 different satellites, all towards that one single satellite. And they're currently just hovering right around that satellite as it orbits around Earth. And just to give you a sense of the distances here, like, is this an accident or is it just a coincidence? I think it's pretty definitively no when you consider that the closest satellite of that batch of 5 is going to come within 500 meters of ICEYE X36. That's 550 kilometers in the air, and they're coming 500 meters away. So this is no joke. This is an act of, I think, orbital intimidation. It's saying that, you know, maybe we're not going to do anything to you. Maybe we're not going to jam you. Maybe we're not going to ram you, but we could if we wanted to. Yeah. And so I think that, you know, this is impossible to ignore at this point. Russia is sending a message of, hey, we can do what we want and we can harass these satellites. And if the United States Space Force doesn't have a way to respond to that and to say, Russia, you cannot do that, you can't be a bully in outer space, then we're just going to see acts like this continue and continue.
Yeah, all of a sudden, space feels very, very small. Christian, Kyle, thank you so much. And turning now to this innovation that we've been watching. It's not a bird, this is not a plane, it's a robot. MIT and Swiss engineers have built a robot bird that can swim underwater, then flap its way straight out of the water and right into flight. It is called the Flapping Wing Aerial Aquatic Vehicle, or FAAV for short. And if this all sounds as awesome as it looks, why create a half-pound robot bird that can swim and fly like the real ones? Because people who created it think that that could go a long way in studying our oceans. I want to bring in Dr. Raphael Zufre, an assistant professor at MIT and one of the lead developers of the robot. Thank you so much for being with us here, Doctor. So when a lot of us think flying robots, our minds think drones, right? But you built one that can fly in the air, underwater, even launch itself back out of the water, something that puffins can do. Do you think that people appreciate, like, the majesty of a puffin, like how hard this is to actually do?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I don't think people quite realize the challenges that come with operating in both air and water. The difference in density is a factor of 1,000, and so that this works is pretty spectacular. And there's over 100 species of diving birds that can do this in many different ways.
Yeah, of course you have, you know, one of those kayaks that you can flip over and over and over again behind you. As we're talking about aerodynamics and you know, how things move in water. We've only explored a small fraction of the deep ocean, right? How do you see this helping us discover what else is out there?
Yeah, so I really think that this technology, aerial aquatic vehicles, combines the flexibility of flight, which means that you can cross long distances very efficiently and at high speeds. You can also do remote monitoring from the sky. And you combine that with still the capability of going into the water and take a sample or a measurement. And so for oceanography or any studies that happen in our coastlines, this can be really a game changer.
Okay, and my question here, like, how big can you make this? If you had unlimited money, could you make one that people could fit in?
No. So at some point, flapping flight, so just like birds do, breaks down. At some point, your wings don't become strong enough anymore to support your weight. So no, for commercial flight, you're still better off sticking to propellers and jet engines. And we argue that actually you don't want to make this robot much bigger, just because these flapping robots are safe because they're also small. So, you know, we can have these things operate in our waters and not create any damage, not have any impact on fragile ecosystems, on humans, on animals, and still collect meaningful data. And so if you're scaling this up too much, then you lose this safety component that I think really shines in this technology.
Yeah, incredible testament to ingenuity and engineering, and yet again, a reminder of the majesty of the puffin and nature that does this through evolution. Dr. Raphael, thank you so very much for joining us. Really appreciate your work. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now. That work okay? Yeah, that space, dude. I know, that left me so hungry for more. That's okay. Yeah, that was great. That was fantastic. Thank you guys. Okay, yeah, he's like on all things military space stuff. He was fantastic. Hey, thanks guys. Yeah, reminds me of Toothless too. Have a great show. Wait, I want to see what you guys are saying. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, okay. I'm off for a week, so I'm going to miss you guys. Asta, thank you guys so very much for watching, and stay tuned. Okay. Thank you.